Hi. So, today I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is how has Japan changed me? So, I've been living in Japan for about 3 years now, and although at first I didn't really notice any changes, as I've been living here for longer and longer, I've slowly started to realize little subtle things about me that have become different. So, the first thing that I realized pretty much just this summer was that the way that I like deal with the extreme heat in Japan is different now than it was when I first got here. So, for those of you who don't know, Japanese summer is like really intense and just pretty brutal and like not really something you want to experience if you don't have to. And basically, from the months of like, let's say, well, latter half of June till first half of September these days, it's pretty much brutally hot every day. And during my first summer, like living here, I basically didn't like do any of the things that like the average Japanese person does to stay cool. I basically every day just went outside and dealt with it like as is. Like maybe I brought a water bottle, but maybe not. And I think at that point I was using sunscreen every day because I was still into skincare at that point. But other than that, I pretty much just suffered. And so that first summer living in Japan was pretty bad. But like as I started living here for longer and longer, I slowly started picking up little tips that like the average Japanese person already knows. So the first big one is just like physical sun protection. Like a lot of Japanese women, especially, they, carry a sun umbrella everywhere they go during the summer. And when I think of a sun umbrella as an American, I usually think of like either a Southern Belle or like maybe a Victorian British woman. So it seems very old fashioned to me. But once I think it was the second summer in Japan, maybe the third. I think I'm on my fourth. I think I'm on my fourth, whatever. Maybe the third that I finally got a sun umbrella, and that really changed things. Like the temperature was still like unbearably hot, but once you get a sun umbrella, like a black one, so or maybe a white one, whatever. Once you get a sun umbrella, um, the sun isn't beating down on you as much. So even though it's still really, really hot, it's not as bright and like shining in your eyes. And that really helped me. The other thing that I started doing is I started taking like vitamin supplements, not just during the summer, but like all year round, because I realized in the first few summers that I was in Japan that I was becoming really tired and I didn't know why. And before I actually went to the doctor, I was like, you know what? I might as well try and take some supplements because maybe I'm like sweating all my nutrients out. I don't know. So I gave that a go and it actually worked and it like restored my energy to a degree during the summer. And so that's another thing that I've started doing. I'm not sure if that's something that every Japanese person does, but like that's something about me that has definitely changed since starting to live here. Now, another thing I do nowadays to keep cool is sometimes I use this little neck ring. And basically, it's like a thing you put around your neck that it has some kind of chemical in it that's just cooling or like naturally cool. And you put it around your neck so your neck doesn't get as hot. And I haven't actually been doing it that much this summer, but I mean, it actually does help if you want to use it. And lastly, when it comes to heat protection during these brutal summers, I have started to basically just keep my AC on all the time, while not even just while I'm home, but also while I'm away. Mostly because then when I come home, I come back to like a really nice, cool, dry like house, and it's just really nice to not have to like be struggling. Even when you get inside, you're like, shit, 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 I gotta turn the AC on now. It's so hot. Like, it's just fine. And I've also started using like the dry setting on my air conditioner, which is something that we have here in Japan. And at first, I was kind of afraid that it wouldn't actually cool the room, but it actually does cool the room as well as dry it. So it actually does a better job at drying the room out than the AC does. So that's also a very helpful thing during rainy season, especially when like it is just so humid pretty much everywhere. So yeah. Another weird thing that I noticed since starting to live in Japan is like as the years progressed, I've started to like white rice more and more. So I want to give a disclaimer. I never actually really hated rice at all. Like I was always fine with it. Like it was sort of just like a neutral thing that if you put like seasoning on it or whatever, or put it in a stir fry, it tastes good, right? But like when it comes to plain white rice, like it's not that exciting, right? And I feel like Japanese people can just like eat plain white rice by the fistful and like think it's tasty. And at first, when I got here, I found that completely ridiculous. But as time progressed, like I don't even know why, but like my craving for plain white rice or like my tolerance for being able to just eat plain white rice has gone up significantly. And now when I'm like super hungry, I can basically just like just like wolf down some plain white rice and be like, wow, this tastes so good. This tastes so nutritious. I can feel myself getting full, like it's weird. Like, I don't know what exactly changed in me, but I feel like my brain was rewired to like it or at least not mind it as much. Now, granted, I'd rather still have some kind of topping or sauce on rice. It's not like I prefer plain white rice, but like I see myself liking it and enjoying it more now that I'm eating it more. And like, okay, like, how would I say this? When I used to go to like restaurants in Japan, usually if I had an option, I would ask for less rice than normal because I'm like, I don't like plain rice that much. I don't need that much. But these days, I always am okay with asking for a normal amount of rice in my meal. And there are like teishoku restaurants, which is basically a set meal restaurant. There's a lot of them in Japan, and like basically at a lot of these restaurants, you have like a little iPad, and you can like choose your specifications for your meal. So that's what I'm talking about. Like that's how I was able to choose the amount of rice. But anyway, I always see myself choosing at least the normal amount. I haven't gone up to the more rice option, but anyway, I've seen that change in me. And the last big thing that I noticed since living in Japan for a while is that the way that I speak and the way that I write is different. Um, Not only is my handwriting different, but also the tone that I use is different. Both in like work emails and just like when I'm just like messaging a friend, like I feel like I've started to talk or write more like a Japanese person who learned English as a second language, and like some of like the grammatical quirks that kind of sound weird to a native English speaker, I'm starting to use too because I feel like I'm around a lot of Japanese people. And so I've started to like sort of pick up the slightly formal sounding way of speaking and writing that a lot of Japanese people who have learned English as a second language use. So, for example, I see myself like using contractions less. So, like if I'm typing out an email, I'm less likely to say wouldn't, or I would say wouldn't, sorry. I'm less likely to say like didn't or can't, and I'm more likely to say like did not and cannot because I guess like my brain is telling me like, oh, it would be more clear or sound better if you type out the entire, two words instead of the contraction version. So that's something I noticed. But also, I think this really started after I went started to go to language school, Japanese language school, and started to like write kanji on a regular basis. But as I started to write kanji on a regular basis, I also noticed. Can you hear the crows outside my house? I'm not sure. Whatever. I also noticed that the way I wrote like English text also changed. Like I started writing it in the style that I wrote kanji, and it's also sort of the way that a lot of Japanese people who are writing in English write. Like my handwriting became a lot more like, yeah, Japanese people who are writing in English who might have learned English as a second language, you know? And I'm like, this is so strange that living in Japan has like changed me in these ways that I didn't even like consciously try to do, besides maybe the sun protection, because the sun protection, I did make a conscious choice to try it out, you know? But anyway, yeah, I think these are some interesting things that are more proof that, like, um, really an immigrant living in any new country is not fully like the people from back home, not fully like the locals in their country, but become this weird hybrid, this weird third thing, who has the quirks from both their home country and the country they're in. So, yeah, I guess we'll see how I change as I'm here for longer. But I don't know. For now, that's it for me. So, bye.